What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a Saturday edition of Dudes Who Bet Daily, kicking off here at 11 a.m. because of those noon kickoffs, and we have got an absolutely loaded day. Aaron, I'm happy it's just you and me because we're going to talk quite a bit of horse racing. We got 4 races to cover. We got 2 college football games we want to cover before we jump into the best bets. So what do you think? Should we just start this puppy right off?
Yeah, I think so. You said it. I'm glad it's just you and I. I love having more people, but this would have been like an hour-long show, I feel like, today. There's so much to go over. So I'm ready, man. Let's do it. Let's kick it off.
And don't worry, we do have best bets from Magic in the CFL, from Papa Dude, going back to a well, but it's not the Cardinals. We'll talk about that in a second as well. But let's start it out here at Churchill Downs. We got the Grade 3 Iroquois, the 9th race on the card. This is a mile and a 16th over the dirt course for $300,000. First time we get a shot at points here, and this is an interesting one. We got the 3 Damon's Mound sitting on the board at 5-2, and all the way to the outside, the 9-horse Echo again, coming out of the probably the most impressive horse coming out of any maiden special weight at Saratoga. What are your feelings here on the Iroquois, and how excited are you for this race?
This is the race I'm most excited for today. I loved Echo again in that performance. He was heavily hyped, if you remember. And those Steve Asmussen runners, when they're heavily hyped, they usually run well. But it's a different ball game for this horse and all the horses in here. You know why? We're stretching out now. You mentioned it, Derby points, and now we start to separate the routers from the sprinters a little bit. So Echo again got to go 2 turns. We'll see what happens. I'm awfully excited to see him. I'm awfully excited for the number 6 Jace's Road. Listen, Ellis Park sometimes gets a little bit ignored, and maybe rightfully so with Del Mar and Saratoga going on. There's been some nice 2-year-olds come out of Ellis Park. Jace's Road, the 6th horse, was heavily hyped at Ellis for Brad Cox, ran extremely well on his debut, and was a runaway winner. So I'm really excited for these two to kind of go head-to-head, and not even mentioning Damon's Mound, who won the Saratoga Special last time out, and a horse that also could be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this pace plays out. This is one of those spots where a lot of these horses at 2 go to the lead and they go gate to wire. And now you're going 2 turns. And you've got some wild time form numbers, a 123, I believe it is, for Jace's Road. You've got 100 plus time form numbers, early time form numbers for Echo again, for the 8 confidence game. The 5 Curly Jack's a 110, Damon's Mound's a 98. You've got the 104 from the 2. This is screaming like we're going to have a very fast pace. If it materializes that this thing just falls apart, which I do think actually is possible here, do you have anyone else that you like that you think could come from behind? Do you think that's what Jace's Road is going to try and do here second time out?
Honestly, if you look at it on paper, it does feel like Jace's Road and Echo again are going to bang heads. I just don't see why they would do that. But, Rosario's on the 9, so we'll see what happens. Giroux's on the 6, so double trouble. Listen, if it falls apart, Damon's Mound should probably win, right? I think he's the best closer in this race. You got to take a stand against one of these 3, in my opinion, especially in a sequence where you're going to need to use some other horses and some other legs, go a little deeper. So I just kind of felt like either the 6 or 9 will end up actually controlling things. I think one will go to the lead and one will maybe sit. But you're right. I mean, if there is a speed duel, Damon's Mound's going to look awful tough in this one.
Yeah, and that's the key there. It's what happens if they do go after each other. I'm not completely against, I can't believe I'm about to say this, the McPeak horse Honed here, who got a terrible number first out on a race that came off the turf, ran on the dirt, but has at least gone a mile and should close. And so I think that one could be a little bit interesting at 12-1 if the wheels absolutely fall off. I did have the 9 horse here, Echo again on top, and I just want to shout out, we've got a sharp Azteca in here in the 7 Honed. We've got a good Magic in here in the 5 Curly Jack, who's not completely out of this. The Damon's Mound's a Gervin. It's fun to see 3 freshman sires who started off phenomenal all have horses in this spot.
Yeah, it's absolutely a blast. So these horses are really producing well. We've talked about Sharp Azteca before. He's got a great horse in Iowa bred Tyler's Tribe as well that he's sired. With Honed, with McPeak, that's the kind of past performance line that he wins this race with. If this horse would have debuted and won by 10 and was 2-1, there's no way the horse would win. But that's the type of horse he'll win this race with.
And as far as Echo again stretching out, I don't think it should be an issue. The question is really, because the pedigree says it's gun runner should be able to get the 1 mile 16th. The question is whether or not you're going to take up too much early and kind of get cooked out there.
Yep, that's the key. And, this is out of a mare, Tappet mare, who was kind of a crazy one on the racetrack, but has produced some decent runners. Look, I think the horse can run all day, but again, like Somich says, you can't run all day if you cook early. And so if you see a 22-45 opening half, well, we might be in some trouble.
Moving on to the 11th race here, the Pocahontas Grade 3. Basically the same thing, except for the ladies here trying to get some Oaks points under their belt. And let's start out here with the Asmussen Rosario Gunrunner. Exactly the same thing we talked about 2 races ago. The 5-horse Grand Love, believe it's your second choice on the morning line, 9-2. She debuted at Saratoga as well, going 6.5. Went gate to wire and beat Ratify, which is a decent horse, has come back and showed something there over at Saratoga. I was really impressed with this debut. I'm kind of surprised this horse is sitting on the board at 9-2. You've got 12 horses in here, so maybe that's why it's so high. Were you on Grand Love as well? That was my top pick.
I am. I'm on Grand Love. I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to 9-2, just to be clear, but I'm with you on that point. But this was another horse that broke the maiden at Saratoga. I believe this was coaching club day. No, it was Alabama day. This horse broke the maiden and looked really flashy. I don't think there's a lot of other speed in this race that can kind of run with her. So I think we could get a gate to wire situation here with Grand Love. Like I said, another gun runner horse. And to me, I think this race is a little more wide open. I think it's a little more balanced field, but Grand Love, to me, if it can run back anywhere close to that speed figure last time out, should be pretty tough in this race.
You've got a Brad Cox, Florent Giroux in here as well. The 9-horse Jet Setting sitting on the board at 9-1. Any interest there off a nice Ellis win?
Yeah, I had Jet Setting in the mix here a little bit. I went 3 or 4 deep in this spot. Brad Cox again. For whatever reason, he held some back here at Ellis, and this was one of another one that ran pretty darn well. These Ellis numbers, I think, naturally come back a little slower, but I think once they go to Churchill, you usually see them speed up. So I think Jet Setting's got a shot here. She's one that can stalk. If you look at that last race, and like I said, went a mile, stalked the pace, didn't really try to pull or get up into the first or into the lead until last. So that's going to be nice here going 2 turns. If the 5 does get a little leg weary, the 9 should be the one that kind of takes the first shot at the leader.
2 others that I was interested in were both the John Ortiz entries. The 11 Just a Warrior. This is a filly by Justify out of a Bernardini mare. Looked very good, winning the debutante at Ellis Park heading into this race. And the 1-horse Boss Lady Bailey at a price. You're getting 12-1 here. Also a John Ortiz horse also coming in here. I thought it was interesting that the second place finisher there, Fun and Feisty, ends up here as well when Boss Lady Bailey broke the maiden. And I would expect a pretty decent step up. I do like the 11 more than the 1, but I think both of them have an outside chance. Were you interested in either of them?
As my speaker opened up there on the ESPN. I like the 11 a lot. The horse last time out stretched out in distance and still did pretty nice there. Just kind of a nice controlled win. I don't know. I think there's other horses in here that are a little bit better. I'm not quite sure what kind of trip this horse is going to get. First time out was kind of on the lead. Second time out stalked. Stretching out, though, should be good for this horse. Should be right on this horse's radar. So I did like the 11. The 1, Boss Lady Bailey, the speed. Listen, speed figures are kind of relative in these 2-year-old races. You can go up and down. For time form wise, the 1 just did not come back very fast at all. So again, you can see improvements, but for me, it was just a little too much.
All right, let's jump over to the 10th race over at Belmont at the Big A, the Caesars Jockey Club Derby Invitational, Grade 3 with a hefty $1 million purse. And it attracted some very nice horses in here. Your favorite, Even Money, Nation's Pride, Vittoria up there. The 1 Classic Causeway, who I think surprised both of us. The way that he has run on the turf so far in the last 2 starts. I thought he dug in pretty well. Your second choice at 2-1. And you got a little bit of an unknown in Artican, who's coming in here at 4-1 from overseas off a nice 3rd place finish in Germany. And I say nice because Rebels Romance, the horse that won that race, is an older horse, a 4-year-old who's 3 for 3 with multiple stakes wins. I think it's really between these 3. Classic Causeway is going to have his own way up front. Can he take this field gate to wire, or do you think someone else will be able to nab him?
Well, that's the worry, right? Classic Causeway, you look at this on paper, it's a short field and there's not a lot of speed, and you're like, shit, he may do it. And so you got to be a little bit leery of that. And the one thing we know about Classic Causeway, he does have elite speed. He always has, right? He hasn't been able to finish sometimes, especially on the dirt, especially when facing better. But on the turf, he's had 2 good performances. That being said, Nation's Pride is the better horse, and I definitely think Nation's Pride is the longer they run, the better Nation's Pride is going to be as compared to Classic Causeway. The key to this race, we talked about it on Blinkers Off. You guys talked about it on the Magic Mike show. William Buick is not here. he is riding at Woodbine for some super nice Appleby horses up at Woodbine. We get Dettori back. That shouldn't be a bad thing. But boy, that race 2 back, Dettori gave an awful ride on this horse. Dettori needs to give the same ride William Buick gave last time out at Saratoga. If he does, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think Nation's Pride is going to get it done. If he doesn't, we'll see. Classic Causeway might be tough to run down.
It's frustrating because Artica and I went back and watched 3 of his races. One of them, he was very close to the pace. The other, mid-pack. And the other, he was basically last. So you're not really sure what you're going to get from him from a pace perspective. I agree with you. Look, if Dettori can keep Nation's Pride a length behind Classic Causeway turning for home, he's the better horse. Mm-hmm. He just has to stay in range. So there's not too much work to do. This isn't a big field. You shouldn't get in trouble. It should be a fairly easy race to maneuver. The question really is, how close are you going to be early to Classic Causeway? And if he's close enough, I think Nation's Pride is good enough to get by. I'm not sure what's in store for the 6. That to me is the more interesting horse. I ended up 3-6-1 here. We'll see what happens from a multi-race perspective. But for me, the 6 is the upset possibility, not necessarily the 1, because I trust Dettori not to get this horse in too crazy a trouble here with just 6 horses.
You usually can trust him. So I'm just going to say, hey, that last 1, 2 back there, the Belmont Derby, yeah, he just screwed up, So we'll see.
Well, you mentioned William Buick is going to be over at Woodbine, and that can lead us into the Woodbine Mile. Grade 1, $1 million race, going 1 turn around that Woodbine turf course. And the headliner here is Modern Games, coming over here to North America for the first time since that debacle victory, but not bettable at Del Mar. Looks super impressive there. That was against 2-year-olds. We're now 3. We're now facing older. Numbers have improved a little bit, but not astronomically. However, you got to think, 7-5 on the morning line. Horse is going to get that. You're probably looking at even money when they go off. Is this a slam dunk single? Because there's some interesting horses in here that are older that could be a little sneaky.
There are some interesting horses in here for sure. I don't think it is a total slam dunk today, but I think this horse is very, very good. And I think the horse is going to get bet a lot from the Breeders' Cup, but a lot. And look who the horse finished second behind last time out. A horse in Baid that many believe is the best in the world. The horse only got beat a length and 3/4, talking about a Modern Game. So look, I think he's the best horse in this race. I think he's going to get the job done. Woodbine can kind of be a quirky surface, but my goodness, this horse has ran all over the world, literally. So I don't think he needs his track, so to speak, to run his race. I just remember Charlie Appleby gushing about this horse last year going into that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, so much so that I singled this horse in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then he scratched but still ran for purse money only, and I got Dakota Gold instead of Modern Games.
Was it Dakota Gold that went off as the favorite?
Yes.
I don't remember it was similar to the horse that was hung in the 14 post that was coming out from Europe too. That was the close post line favorite there too. And I like that 14, hated the post. That was a kind of a staple of last year's Breeders' Cup. Like the horse, hate the post. We'll see what happens with that draw later. This one, look, we got Ivar coming back. Clearly was just in a prep there at Indiana, got the job done against a much easier field. Ivar has shown the ability to run a number big enough here to win this race. Do you trust Ivar in this spot? You're probably getting around the 4-1 number that you're sitting on the morning line.
I'm not going to be completely shocked if he wins, but he just doesn't really, since that win at Keeneland back in 2020, he's had trouble staying on the track. And when he gets there, it's like, yeah, he runs well, but he doesn't quite finish the job. I think if there's an upsetter, and you might think I'm crazy in this, but I think if the upsetter is the number 3 Wakanaka, I'm really interested in this horse. Look, it's a filly going up against the boys. I get it. But look at the fillies this horse has been defeated by. Yeah. Really, really nice horses. In Italian, Speak of the Devil, that day at Churchill Downs where she just freaked. Regal Glory, and then last time won over this track at Woodbine. I think Wakanaka at 10-1 is the value of the race.
Actually beat in Italian right before in Italian freaked and set a new track record at Saratoga too. So the form that she's been with is absolutely solid. I agree with you. I love this horse underneath. I'm going to give away my superfecta in a second because I have one more I think we should talk about. How about the other invader here? How about Finest Sound, who's coming in from Europe off of a nice effort over there at Goodwood in the UK. Runs second to Jadami, who came back to win next time out. You have Intenzi's flying over for this horse. This horse is another one who's 5, who seems to be getting better in this 5-year-old season. The time form numbers aren't that far off what we are currently seeing Modern Games run. I love the 5 over the 2-3-4 superfecta. 5-2-3-4, 2-3-4, 2-3-4. and see if we can get both of those 10-to-1s in there. Because I think the 4 has a legit shot in this spot.
Well, listen, the form overseas is very good. I mean, you're running in Group 2 and Group 3 races and getting second in the last 2 starts. Won I don't know what they call their listed stakes, but won an ungrouped stakes. We'll call it 3 races back. Yeah, I think this horse is pretty solid. The 1 mile distance, I was kind of questionable with until he ran so well last time out at Goodwood in a Group 2 race. So yeah, I'm with you. I think the 4's got a big time shot. Some of the locals sometimes have run well here in the past, but boy, it's going to be tough this year. Like a horse like March to the Arch is one that always kind of gets up, might hit the board at Woodbine. He's up against it, I think, this year. This is a solid group.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Maker's Mark mile winner in here. We're not even going to talk about Cheryl Spite. This is a tough spot for him to come back in here. And then you've got last year's winner, Town Cruise, the 10 horse, who broke from the 1 post at 20-to-1 morning line, ends up going off, I believe it was at 9-to-1 or so, and won this race last year, but was able to go gate to wire. There's a lot more speed in it this year. I think this is going to be an absolute cavalry charge down the lane, because I think you have 2 or 3 horses that want to set a quick pace.
I don't know about you, but I don't know how Cheryl Spite won that race at Keeneland that day. Beat a horse like Mason and a horse like Smooth Lake Straight. I mean, how did he do it? And you look at the 3 races since, it's like, okay, 4th. Then we went to the dirt, and then we went up to Woodbine and got 5th. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over to the football side. We've got 2 games we want to talk about before we jump into the best bets. First off, let's talk about Mississippi State at LSU. This is one where I know Papa Dude almost made it his best bet. I almost made it my best bet. I like Mississippi State laying the 2.5 on the road. I know we were both watching Florida State Louisville last night. Louisville could have hung 50 there if they had a little bit better play calling and they didn't fumble the ball on this Florida State defense that held LSU in check for the mass majority of that game. Mississippi State's defense is better than Florida State's. Mississippi's offense is better than Florida State's. I think 2.5 is a little light here.
Yeah, I actually got a text from my cousin, who's a big college football fan. Said the same thing. Said, I'll take the Bulldogs in this one. Like that, I think they're a much better team than LSU. I'm glad you mentioned that Florida State game. They won the game, and a lot of people are like, yeah, Florida State, they're 3-0. They're terrible. I don't think they're very good at all. I thought their backup quarterback actually was kind of the highlight of the game, and the receiver, number 14, can't remember his name. But their defense was atrocious. And Louisville hadn't done shit offensively until that game. So Florida State, maybe they're going to win another one next week, and then when they get into the bulk of that schedule, I think they're in some trouble. But, yeah, I like the pick.
When they face teams that can run the football, Florida State's in trouble. I don't know why Louisville didn't run more in the second half. There were a couple 4th and shorts that they're throwing the ball, and I'm just like, come on, man. You have a running quarterback, a running back that's gashing this defense every time he touches the ball, and we're trying to throw for it on 4th and short. Look, I'm a proponent for throwing for it, but when you have a defense that is allowing explosive runs and you've got multiple explosive runners, maybe try and go that route. It was fun to see. Yeah, great call here, Wyoming. I know that was one you and your dad both called out. 17-point dogs win outright. So that's always fun. Excellent call there. Other game we want to talk about here is the marquee matchup of the night. Miami going into Texas A&M. A&M switching up their quarterback and laying 5.5 at home here. What are your thoughts on this Miami A&M matchup?
I am really confused why Max Johnson was not starting for Texas A&M to begin with. If you remember, this guy transferred from LSU, and at LSU last year, he was kind of the bright spot of that team. He looked awfully good at times for that LSU team that was kind of a train wreck elsewhere. But, especially late in the season, they just couldn't stop anybody, but they were scoring. And so when he went to A&M, I thought, okay, A&M's got their quarterback. That's a position that they've struggled in. Even when they're like good teams under Jimbo, I mean, Kellen Mond, no, he's not that good, but I thought Max Johnson would be good. Anyway, they started King. He was awful. It's time for a change. I think they're going to rebound. I'm skeptical of what Miami is. I'm going to take the Aggies in this spot tonight. I know.
Fighting words, man. Come on. Give me my U. We got Tyler Van Dyke at the quarterback, by far the best quarterback Miami has had.
True.
Maybe it's Ken Dorsey. Like, it's been that long. And he might be better than Ken Dorsey when this is all said and done. Just a sophomore, played last year, late freshman year. I love the progression from him. He's got wheels. He's got an arm. I mean, I'm not ready to say Miami is back. I think it's ridiculous when people do the whole Texas is back, Miami is back, all that stuff. But Cristobal seems to have this program heading in the right direction. I think 5.5 is too much. I think this should be like 3. And so I'll take the over a field goal here with Miami. Maybe sprinkle a little of that money line, but it's tough to win in Texas A&M. When they get that place rocking, and it will be rocking for this game, it's 9 o'clock kickoff. Everyone's going to be drunk. It's going to be a loud stadium. We know what happened last year at Alabama when they had that late kickoff at Texas A&M. Going to be a fun game to watch, though. I'm excited to watch this one. I would love Miami to be really relevant again, not just selfishly because I am a Canes fan. College football is more fun when Miami is good.
Yeah, no, they're a polarizing program. Most of the country hates them, and so that's great when you have teams like that. It makes it fun when they play every week.
Yeah, the we're back is way overused. It is wild how and everyone wants to be back. And like LSU said they were back after just destroying a team last week. I'm like, guys, you lost to Florida State week 1. Let's pump the brakes here. All right, let's head over to the best bets. I'll kick off with Magic's here. He texted me this morning, said he wasn't gonna be able to make the show, but he likes the Winnipeg
Blue Bombers.
He likes the Blue Bombers here, laying the 7.5 points. He didn't tell me why. But I'm going to trust him at this point. Tough loss yesterday with the Elks winning outright. He had an early lead, and the Elks offense just kind of started rolling there. And he had that weird 1-point third quarter. We needed more than that in the third quarter.
The Rough Riders, I watched that whole game. The Rough Riders offensively just fell into a crater. They were awful. They blocked a punt and didn't score. They got a penalty and got it over midfield and didn't score. It was bad.
So hopefully Magic can turn it around here. We're going Winnipeg minus the 7 and a hook. Talk to us a little about Papa Dude. You texted me about this last night. I was wondering why he's taking the points with Nevada this time, facing an FCS school instead of laying them.
No, they're not facing FCS. So they're playing Iowa. They're not an FCS school.
Oh, this is Iowa?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Arkansas. Okay, never mind.
No, you're thinking Arkansas, Missouri State. No, Nevada plus 23 for Papa Dude. You're thinking it because it's almost the same exact line. Nevada plus 23 today. He did say, look, I am worried that I'm kind of falling into a trap again. But he said the bottom line is, how can Iowa beat anybody by 23 points when they've scored 7 points in their first 2 games? So he's going to go to that Nevada train again. Of course, he got beat last week by him. So that does make him a little skeptical, a little nervous. But he just thinks, look, if Nevada gets 10 points in this game, how the hell does Iowa cover the spread? So he's going to go Nevada plus the 23.
I mean, Incarcerate Word beat Nevada last week as a 3.5 to 5.5 point dog, depending where you got it. A lot of the damage was done by their quarterback, who is a running quarterback. Iowa, they're just a running team. So we'll see what happens there. They don't have that same scramble ability from that quarterback position. Hopefully they can hold it down a little bit. Let's jump over to my best bet. And this one is interesting. Okay. Do you know what the line for Alabama's game is today?
Is it in like 40s, 48, 49?
49. So you're 7 touchdown favorites.
Yeah.
What's the line for the first half? We look at this every week because we talked about Alabama quite a bit on this.
Well, I would assume like 24 and a half, 25.
32 and a half.
Whoa. Okay.
So they're making them 5 touchdown favorites in the first half, 7 touchdown favorites in the game, and you're laying 10 and a half in the first quarter.
Ooh.
That's a mistake. This line should be 13 and a half or 14. You're getting 3 points of edge here against what the full line should be. We've talked about how Alabama comes out and rolls these teams in the first half, shuts it down in the second half. If you're going to cover 5 touchdowns, you better be up 14 points at the end of the first quarter. This line is wrong based on the first half and the full game line. And on top of that, we're facing UL Monroe, the 129th of 130 defenses. Not good. They lost the first quarter to Texas 14-3 to start out the year before getting a win. I don't know why this is 10.5. I've already bet this in 2 places. I'm going to be seeing if I can find anywhere else. This one to me is, by the way, Alabama's going to be pissed. Like, if you think Alabama's not going to be focused for this game, Nick Saban off a loss is something. Nick Saban off a team with 11 penalties in the first half. Practice wasn't easy. They will be sharp. They're going to come out and they're going to be firing at UL Monroe. I wouldn't be shocked if this thing's 21-0 at the end of the first quarter.
I'm shocked that they didn't adjust the quarter lines, because we talked about how they've been adjusting the half lines this year, but they didn't adjust the quarter. And I'm with you. Listen, this team is going to play a great game today. Usually you'd think, okay, it's a letdown game. No, they played like shit at Texas. I'm with you. I like that bet a lot.
No, it's you got to dig for these, and sometimes you find they make the right moves. They did with the first half. The first quarter is incorrectly placed by the books. That's why this ended up being my best bet and not Mississippi State laying those 2.5. All right, tell us about our future Heisman winner, Aaron.
First of all, his words, not mine. I am not sold on Dylan Gabriel, but I am sold that he's a solid quarterback. I don't know that he's a star. He is solid. This should not be plus 122. That's the key to this bet. I'm going Dylan Gabriel over 2.5 touchdown passes today. There's no way this should be plus money. There's no way it should be. If you've watched OU the first 2 weeks, they were very conservative offensively. Today against Nebraska, they're going to have to open it up. I think Nebraska's decent on offense, and I think that will put pressure on our offense to keep scoring, and that's a big key to this thing. If he gets under 2.5 touchdown passes, Oklahoma will lose the game. He has to throw today. They have to open it up a little bit today. I think they will. 2.5 touchdown passes for an Oklahoma quarterback, that is not very many. Lastly, it's a Nebraska defense that is atrocious. Everybody is scoring on this team. I think OU scores today. I think the game's closer than people think, but at the end of the day, I think Dillon Gabriel goes over the 2.5 touchdown passes. And again, there's no way this should be plus money, in my opinion.
This is going to be a high possession game. Both these offenses play pretty quick. You might see 30 possessions in this game. That obviously favors your over 2.5 touchdown passes here. I also think Oklahoma learned a lesson in the first half last week. Don't run the damn ball. Air it out. Like, they're so much more dangerous when they're attacking through the air. You got to balance it. I get it. But they are better when they are throwing the football.
I think what they've done these first 2 weeks is we're going to find out, can we run the ball? So for later in the year, can we do it? Can we actually line up and run the ball on people? And I think they're working that. I think they know what they've got in the passing game. Listen, Dillon Gabriel is going to be solid. He's not going to be intimidated going on the road. He's played forever. I mean, it's not going to be a big deal. They've got really good receivers that they haven't used a lot yet. They've got a really nice tight end. I think today you're going to see OU open it up. Again, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. But the key bet for me in this game, he's getting over 2.5 touchdown passes today. I don't have any doubt.
I love it. We got a big slate here. We've got 3 monster tracks going after, like at Belmont. You've got Woodbine. You've got Churchill. We've got a huge college football Saturday. We've got a bunch of best bets coming at you. So we'll wrap this puppy up, go over the best bets and the records here. Magic going with Winnipeg Blue Bombers, laying the 7.5. Papa Dude taking the 23 with Nevada against Iowa. Aaron going with the Heisman Trophy winner, Dillon Gabriel, over 2.5 touchdown passes, plus 122. Yes, I bet that he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. That's why I keep saying it. I'm going to go Alabama minus 10.5 in the first quarter. The line is wrong. It should be 13.5 or 14. For the week, we are 5-6 down $132. For the year, we are up $2,318 off $100 base bets. Good luck with your bets, everybody. No matter where you are playing, it should be a fun day. Good luck on the football field. Good luck at the racetrack. And we'll see you again tomorrow at noon Eastern for a new Dudes Who Bet Daily.